Okay, hello. Story time, you guys, on how I didn't realize I was being recruited for a cult. Okay, so I'm new here to the DMV, and this is just taking place. Like, I'm currently ghosting them, guys, and they're hunting me down. To the DMV, like, I'm just hitting a year, especially, like, I just met the first girl in the beginning of May. Let's say it was around, like, Mother's Day weekend or something. Like, that first weekend of May, because I always go for a walk area, you know, and, like, I do a certain amount of time to make sure I get my 10K or my 15K in steps, even on the weekends, like Saturdays, because my boyfriend's in Finn, so I just, like, still go for my walks. So I'm coming out of a tunnel, and then this girl's, like, stops me, and, like, I have on, which, keep in mind this, I'm wearing my Georgetown sweater, and, like, I have on my headphones, but I'm just, like, walking, and I guess I looked very homely, which I probably did, because, again, I'm just going for a walk, but I had on a sweater, some jean shorts, a hat, because, like, I was getting ready to get my hair done, too. So she stops me and she's like, oh, is it safe to walk in there? And so she was black as well, and she was, like, nicely dressed, and she was coming from the tea place, and I was just like, oh, okay. So I stopped and, like, I talked to her, and then we just struck up a conversation because I am, like, a chatty Cathy, and I should have took heed when she asked me, oh, so are you a Christian? And I was just like, well, not the best, but kind of. But then we were just talking, and then I was like, yeah, I'm trying to find, like, you know, a good church. And then she was telling me that she went to this church. It was, like, something mission center, and I was just like, okay. And she told me where it was, but I was like, yeah, I'm not driving down there. There's, like, 2 churches by me. I could try.
Like, okay, we exchanged phone numbers, and then she's like, yeah, because she said she was new to the DMV too. She was from a different state, and she had only been out here for like 3 years, and like, she had some family out here. So then I was just like, okay, cool. And then, like, we texted, and, you know, I've met other people, like, in passing, but nothing has, like, stuck, and I haven't been trying to, like, force anything. Like, I want to get to know people that align with me. So then I was just like, oh, she seemed like a good person. I was even going to journal, and I had put in my journal, like, oh God, I hope, like, you know, this is a good person, someone I can, like, go to church with and, like, hang out with. You know, she said she wasn't really a drinker, but I was like, okay, like, that's fine, that's good, because I want to get out of, like, food center things and drinking things. That's, like, what I'm trying to work my way out of. So yeah. And then, like, she asked me, she was like, oh, hey, do you want to, like, come to a barbecue? You and your boyfriend are welcome to come. And then she was like, oh, by the way, like, I'm a horrible texter, which I was like, me too. So this is perfect, because also too, I'm not really looking for high maintenance friendships, and, like, not so necessarily low, but I'm still trying to figure out my own routine to where I don't feel like I could give all to a friendship that wants that level of commitment. So I'm just like, and that's where I'm at. And honestly too, I kind of said, like, I don't really do friendships. Like, I'm really trying to work on solitude. Like, I did a lot of that, like, friendship stuff in my early 20s, and I was just trying to work on solitude, me, my life, my relationship, and my, of course, number one, my relationship with God, because this is how we got here. Okay, so she invites me to this barbecue, and I was like, oh, you know, I'll go. Like, I was telling my boyfriend about it, and then I was like, I'll be back. I'll go and be back before he even wakes up. And that's what I did. And it's like, when I got to the barbecue, which, okay, I'm making this video because then after certain things happen, I had to start Googling, like, Bible study cult in the DMV, DC area. And 2 other creators, and one girl, she gives her story time. And another one was, like, anonymous, but they talked about they were invited to a function in Virginia, at a park in Virginia, and that's how it was for me. And it was like the locations had changed. So then when I get there, it is like, I was just like, she wasn't there. And then honestly, because this was like my first time since meeting her, I kind of forgot what she looked like. So it was these girls, which I thought one of them was her, but it wasn't. And then I was like, oh, so I get to the park, and there was these 3 girls, and one of them looked like the girl, but I wasn't for sure. But then I was just like, oh, I'm looking for, let's say, Rebecca. I'm looking for Rebecca. I'm so-and-so. And they're like, oh, we know Rebecca. And one girl, who is going to be the other main culprit in this story, we're going to call her Janice, okay? So Rebecca and Janice they're like, oh, like Janice is like, oh, I know Rebecca or whatever, and I'm like texting Rebecca like, oh, I'm here, and she's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be a little late, and I thought she was already there by like what she had texted me and said, but she wasn't. So
talking to Janice and some other girl, and then Janice just clings on to me, and then she like isolates me and gets me, and we're just like chatting, and then Rebecca's still not here. So I'm just like, okay, like I'm giving you guys the whole rundown, but I was like, okay, cool, she seems nice, you know, very friendly. She was a little bit younger than Rebecca and I. Rebecca and I were a year apart, allegedly, because who knows, they could be telling me lies all about their ages, too. And then Janice was 29. So then I'm just like, oh, what's this function? How does everyone know each other? Is it just like a random thing? Like, what's the jig, you know? And she's like, oh, it's just a whole bunch of believers and Christian people among the DMV area that get together who want to worship God. And I was like, oh, okay, like, there's different type of like random functions people know, you know, flyers, things like that. And then around the time I get there, it's like it breaks out into word and prayer. And then like I was like, I don't have a Bible, and everyone has a Bible. I didn't know we were supposed to bring a Bible. I didn't even know anything about this barbecue. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go. It's at this park that was near my house, and I was like, you know, I need to get out and explore. So it's at a park. So I was like, okay. I drove around, did a couple of like laps before I parked and got out. So I was like, you know, I always scope the scenery. So I do that. And yeah. I'm just like, how did I get this far to get to step 2 of being indoctored into the coach? So then, like, the girl's like, oh, I was like, oh, I have a Bible app. So she's like, oh, open the Bible app. And she's serious about it, you know? So I'm just like, okay, everyone's different. Because then, too, she's from a different country. And, like, her major and her stuff is, like, I'm just like, okay, it tracks. Like, the personality tracks. So I don't think anything of it. Because Rebecca is, like, chill and just, like, you know, more, what is the word? Aloof. She's more aloof. So then, like, after that, we're like, oh, I'll agree to hang out and go, like, play pickleball in a certain area, because then we all live in the same city, just different parts. But then like we met in like Arlington, okay? We met in Arlington. And yeah, I was like, and then we went and got like tacos, and I was like, okay, this is cool, very much like, you know, a vibe. And I have been saying I have to stop over telling my life, and that's what I did with them. So maybe they're just like, oh my god, this is our perfect candidate. But little do people know, like, as a Scorpio, I am on top of things. So I will drag it to hell. I kick people out, okay? So then I'm just like, okay, these ones are like, because then like one girl, she was like talking about like stuff, and I was just like, yeah, no, like it's not really. Anyways, I just was oversharing pretty much. It's something I'm trying to work on. People pleasing and oversharing. People pleasing, I have now mastered. I am no longer a people person, which this also comes into play of like I was feeling bad, and I was like, oh my gosh, do I like people please in certain situations? But I was like, I don't know. So then the relationship started to develop so quickly, and I was just like, oh my god, it's like all the links are clicking in, and this is like, oh my god, did I found my tribe? This is just too good to be true. And at the time, I was just finishing up the Nature Boy cult stuff, like all 60 episodes, whatever, on YouTube, Hood Horrors, and I seen the Hulu one, and I was watching the other Hulu thing on cults and stuff, so I'm always like tuned into the cults, Beverly Housewives, the whole like Amanda in the cult, I'm like tuned in. So then I was joking with my boyfriend, like I was like, oh, I just hope it's like not some cult stuff, because then like they wanted, one girl's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm trying to build my faith more, and I want to do, Janice is like, she wants to build her faith more and do Bible study like 2 times a week, and will we be open? And I was like, you know what, why not? Like I'm trying to really narrow in and know God more in the Bible, so why not do it with other people? 2 other people is my max, because I'm like I said, I don't really do friend groups, I don't do like that. So I was like, and I know sometimes they always say when you have 3 people, one person always feels left out, which I was like, I don't mind being the person that feels left out, because I got a man, and I was just like, you know, I'm still trying to figure out me, so I don't care if I'm the one left out. I prefer. So then it was just like becoming too much. Oh, and I was just getting ready to go on vacation. And then the girl was like, Janice was like 6 weeks. I was like, okay, I could commit to 6 weeks of doing 2 times a week. And then I was like, it would distract me, stop annoying my boyfriend, you know. And then they were like, meet in person. And so it was that 2 times a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. So the first one, I think I did it in person or like online, because I was getting ready to go too. It was like, one of them I did, and then it was like right before I was leaving. And then, so I was like, yeah, I only have a certain amount of time, because, you know, like I'm leaving. And then, or the first time was on FaceTime, because my dog or something. Anyways, I think the first time, and then the first time was on FaceTime, and then the second time was like in person. But all this was like, I was taking my dog, and then, you know, we were getting ready to leave, unpacking, we were going to Maui. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I can just do for this amount of time. I can't, you know, I'm honest. I'm always like, if someone asks me for a favor, I'm like, well, what is it, before I agree to anything. I'm about disclaimers always. I need to know every detail. I don't just commit to anything. Sorry. Because I don't know. I like my time, and I'm done being a people person and giving my time. So that's that. And, Okay, so the first one, yeah, I feel like it was on Zoom because then I remember they were like both looking in on me like that, like they were together, and then I was on Zoom, and it gave kind of creepy, and I was just like, oh, okay. That's when I was even joking about the coat stuff. And then I was like, okay, I can like still spare some time, but I was like, how long is Bible study gonna be? Because it's giving like 2 hours, which in the end, these Bible studies were turning out to be like 2 hours. So yeah, that was that. So I was just like, oh my god. And then they didn't even like, you know, if you're like females and like this is supposed to be a girl thing, like you'd be like, yeah, I understand you can't come, you're getting ready for vacation. But Janice was strict, and she was like, you know, oh, you have to be there. And like Bible study was feeling like a lesson, and like I was in class, like I was feeling drained, and like if I respond a certain way, she was kind of feisty. Like our first one in person, I was just like, I don't know, like I'm not feeling the energy, but I was still being like sweet and nice and like, you know, forgiving. And I'm like, well, God, I guess you want me here, this is what we're doing. So then I'm just like, I don't know, like it was the phone calls while I was on vacation, because then I was like, yeah, I can like, I guess still join in while I'm on vacation. Like I would ask my boyfriend, like, are you cool with it? Because it's like, we're on vacation, and like, you know, I was like, I guess, you guys look at these edges. I was like, I guess God wants me, you know, God doesn't take a vacation, so if he put these people in here in my life to do this, I guess this is what I'm doing. So then I did one while I was on vacation, and then the other one, like on Friday while I was on vacation, I was sick, and I was just like so drained. I was not doing it, and I was just like, oh, like I won't be making it. I'm on an excursion, because Hawaii was like afternoon, I was like evening in the DMV. So then the girl calls me, and I was like, I just can't talk. Like, why are you calling me? And, you know, everything was like, I don't feel like I need to over-explain. I'm done over-explaining myself if I say I'm not doing something. It's just point blank, I'm not doing it. I don't really give excuses anymore. I just say, hey, won't be able to make it, you know, or especially if it's something like minor like that. So then she called me, and I was just like, yeah, any other time, I love calls, I just can't talk right now. Because then I was like sick in the bed, guys. Like, I gotta get a root canal, and the pain started happening, and then it started causing sinus stuff. So yeah, like I was in the pool, but if you know a toothache, especially if you have to get a fucking root canal, like it was so bad. So I was just going through it, and little did I know I was like getting ready to start my period. So my body, like I have not been sick. I wasn't sick all winter. I haven't been sick in over a year. So that all came crashing down. It was a nightmare. So I'm just like, okay, you know, and then they're always texting, like in a group chat, like, oh, how's everyone's day going, yada, yada, yada. And I'm a firm believer in this, and it's like, ooh, girl, the pimp fan is all the way down, especially you're like, well, I say that in like, you gotta stay on top of everything, and sometimes you just gotta be the pessimistic person, which that is me. And but then I was trying to be nice and like, you know, not be a people's person, but just be like, okay, like, take it with a grain of salt, take people, you know, let them just show themselves. And then these girls showed themselves. So I just said, okay, like, we'll fill it out. The last one I went on to, I just felt so drained. And like, this was the one in person, because then when I got back, I was still kind of like, when I got back, and I don't know how I thought I was going to be able to get off a flight from overnight to the next day, not sleeping for 24 hours, and think I was going to go to a Bible study in person, you know. And I was like, okay, this is where you can't be a people person. So I was like, hey, I know I said I was going to make it, but I'm not going to make it. So that was like 2 in a row I did not make. And so then the girl starts calling me, Janice starts calling me, Rebecca's just complicit, and again, she's like aloof. Because then when we were talking, I think when I got back, and she was like, oh, you really do sound sick. I was like, okay. She ends up telling me, she was like at one point living on an island, and it was like, you talking about me moving from the west to the east, and you went and lived in one of those islands, and then she was just telling me about like her life. So then I was like, well, how'd you end up in the island? And all this stuff was so vague and aloof of how they explain stuff, so I was already kind of like keyed to that. Because then she was like, oh, my church, she was volunteering during COVID, then she just ended up staying. So I was like, I guess that's like missionary work, right? And so then I was just like, okay, wow, interesting, got an edge to you. And what else happened? Yeah, so then we chatted, and then Janice, I was just like, Janice, I'll put you on ice tomorrow. But then, when I got back, Janice was like, well, why? She called me again when I say I can't make it. And she's like, well, why? I was like, and I ended up saying, but I'm on the toilet, I had the shits. I started my period. I don't know if you've ever experienced with your period, you get the shits. I get the shits. And, like, I was shitting so freaking bad. And then I was like, Janice, I gotta go. Like, you're not taking no for an answer. You're being very pressy about this Bible study. And I was just like, I don't know, Janice, how much longer I can do with Janice. So I was just like, yeah, I just like hung up, and then she would just like keep trying to check on me, you know, just like one of the other girls' videos that I found on TikTok when they were talking about them, she was like, yeah, they do a lot of like love bombing, which they do. And then, because then I had called Janice when I was like at the airport, I was like, damn, let me call Janice because this girl is getting on my nerves with these phone calls. Like, I'm on vacation. Like, why do you think I want to be on my phone talking to y'all? Like, let me talk to God and God only. So she's like, oh, well, I was just trying to talk to you because like I'm actually moving for her like when she was doing her internship thing with work, and I was like, oh, okay. And then she was like, yeah, like next in 2 days, 3 days. So I was like, oh wow. Like she was like, so yeah, I just want to see you guys like a couple of times and hang out. So then when I was talking to Rebecca, I was like, we should do like a picnic for her, like, you know, just something nice. We all just like, instead of playing fucking pickleball, and I was like, how about we just do a picnic? So we did a picnic, and like I was like, okay, it's a bond, you know. And they kept me taking pictures. That didn't really alert me, but it kind of did, because I was just like, I don't know. Like every time you guys want to take pictures, but you haven't shared your social medias or even ask. They didn't even ask, because I would talk about TikTok, but like I don't like usually exchange with anyone unless they like say they have one. But then them I was still kind of on the fence about, which like good thing we did not, and I don't think they wanted me to see, because then they would talk about it. But I was like, oh, we're like sending pictures and like all this stuff, but you know, so then they might have posted my pictures in this like coat, guys. I'm not in a coat. So yeah, which I'll probably have to break these up into like parts. These will probably be broken up into parts. Okay, so yeah, the picnic, which like they were giving me some advice on my stuff, and like I thought they were being supportive and not haters. So then I was just like, okay, maybe this is not a cult. Because then when I got back and like, you know, but then it was when we did the Bible study, because we hung out on that Monday, and then we did the Bible study on Tuesday, and we did it at like this cafe. And I was like, they kept picking places by my house, which I thought was like a little weird, or maybe they were just looking for people in like this part of Alexandria. Because then also too, someone said that they like to target college campuses, so that's what I was saying with my sweater earlier. I don't know, I guess they like prey on people. So by the way, what I'm saying, this cult, what I ended up finding out is Shujan something, I don't know, some Korean cult where they get you into these Bible studies 2 times a week for like 2 hours. Because one girl said, oh, it started off only like an hour, 45 minutes, and then it grew to 2 hours. But for me, this one girl, Janice, was doing it, and then I was kind of like, oh, so how are you like coming up with your methods and teaching? Like I would ask her that, and she was like teaching it as if we were really her students, and she had like Rebecca trained, but me, it was like, no, because it was something she was like, oh, when you sign a lease, do you like read everything? I'm like, I do, because I'm a haggler. And she's like, oh, well, you're just different, like, I guess. And I'm like, no, you guys should all be reading everything, which is concerning to me. So then, yeah, this was like, we did the lesson in person, and then this is where she, yeah, I need my water. And this is where she breaks down and says, oh, so, you know, I have this friend who wants to be doing a Bible study like this, but it's going to be with more people, but it would still be the same schedule, you know? And then this is where I'm like, And then Rebecca is automatically like, yeah, I'm interested. And I was like, well, I would have to see, I would have to hear more before I just commit to, so, you know, when you have more information, let me know. So this is where I'm like, you guys are like lying and deceitful, because then I'm just like, she's like, oh yeah, like, I'm just like, it's giving like, you're making it seem like, oh, it's something that just came about when this is your guys' plan all along, was to try and induct me into this Christian cult of Bible study 4 hours a week for 8 months. And it's like, so then the next lesson we did was online. And so when we did it online, because then one, I was like, oh, are we like going to be moving online? And then she was like, oh, it's in person. And I was like, oh, like I was at the pool. So then I did show up, like, you know, I like was walking there because I did show up like a little tipsy. And I was like, I just got out of the pool. But then, yeah, this was the last one, and since then I ghosted them, because then I was like, I don't know, I already said if they try and introduce me to someone else and to a different group of like Bible study, I was like, it's giving cult. So then, and then too, they were never mentioning about going to church. It was just all about Bible study, which I was like, just thought was so weird. So then she's like, okay, so I have the information, and then Rebecca, because this was on the storm, so Rebecca's like, oh, her service was down, who knows if it really was, and then it could have, because like the power was going out, so she just turned off her camera at some point, and that was the thing. And Janice was like, oh, I want your guys' cameras on, because I told her, like, when she was calling me when I had the shifts, I was like, yeah, I can just like turn on and listen, but she wants you like involved in taking notes, and you have to remember, and then the whole reciting, you know, which I was like, okay. But when she would question me, and like she was like, explain more, because I would just be like, okay, like I don't have anything else to say, like, you know, I would be questioned, and I'm like, I'm new, I'm learning, so I'm just really taking it in, and I need to process and download this on my own. So it was like, if I didn't have like enough of an answer for her, she was like, well, tell me more. Well, why this? Why that? And honestly, the way she was speaking, it just gave me the creeps. And like, I'm not meant to talk about like African people, but like, you know, Black Americans and Africans, it doesn't always like mesh. No shade, no tea, no offense, because there's certain Africans I do love, but she was giving me like, which African? I'm not even gonna lie. Like Housewives episode with Wendy's mom, sorry, but it was kind of giving like that, and I don't know, it just wasn't feeding to my spirit, and like the way she was doing the Bible studies already was kind of just like, already like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna finish the 6 weeks out, but we were pretty much at a month by then, so like I was like, okay, I'll just like ghost them maybe like week 5, the next ones. So then she's like, oh, she wants to introduce me, because then like she's like, oh, Rebecca knows the person. So I was like, Rebecca, you know this person? Have you? And then I was like, Rebecca, did you do this course? And then this is where I was like, oh yeah, this is a setup. And she's like, yeah, I did it once before. And I was like, so why are you doing it again? And she's like, you know, I just want to be able to know the word and be able to spread it like Janice does. And I'm just like, oh yeah, no. And then she's like, yeah, so I just want you to like get on a call with, I don't know, Josie, let's say Josie or Jolie, something like that. She's like, I just want you to get on a call. I don't need to be introduced to any more people. Don't give a, oh, and then when we were on the like Zoom, and then what made me think like Janice was okay is because she was also at like an affiliate school, and then I Googled her. So what she was saying was like true. And I had like Googled Rebecca, so I was like, okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to do this all in one. So then, okay, yeah, the whole setup. This is where meeting the next person. And I was like, oh, this is giving the Nature Boy thing where they want to introduce you to Nature Boy. So it's like where they build that one-on-one relationship with you to then move you up to meet the next person. And that's what they were doing. So I was like, yeah, I'm like listening. And then she's like, yeah, and then it'll start on Tuesday, away. And then I was like, so this is, you said 2 semesters. That's like, what, 6 months? She's like, actually 8. And then I was like, and then you're saying, if we miss a course, you're requesting our cameras be on, and you're requesting our full divided attention, and then if you miss a lesson, you must make it up on the side with this Josie person. And I was just like, I'm not into the time to be committing that to anyone. And I was just like, to me, I was like, oh, this is sounding like a cult. And I was like, I don't want to waste anybody's time. It's not for me. And she's like, you need to pray about it, and you have anxiety, because I was like, I can't commit to anything, because like I was like, I'm trying to find a job. I have my school, like I'm going to school. I can't make any commitments, y'all. I would miss tennis, and I pay for that. And she's like, well, it's free. Free for how long? Till the next thing they want to do is take your money. So yeah, so then after like I got off with them, I was telling my boyfriend about it, and he was like, yeah, that's very culty. And he's like, you can have that relationship with God on your own. Which even before I met them, in one scripture was really talking about, be careful about those who really like, you know, have to praise him in front of everybody and make a scene of it. And then like, but those who just worship God in that one-on-one relationship, which I just finished watching the Nicki Minaj interview with the Bryce Crawford guy. Very interesting, very good, and that was just a reminder. And I've been going to Catholic church before then with my boyfriend, but the whole separate thing where I was like, I don't want to go to church with you if you're not committing to me, and we've even been in a sermon where the father was talking about that. So then I was like, I need to just go back to maybe a Christian church and do stuff separately on my own, because the whole thing was to do everything on my own with God, not to be wrapped into something like that. Especially a coat. But I was like, oh, like 2 women. Because even when I got my hair done, I remember the hairstylist was like, oh, have you found like your tribe and your sisterhood? And she's like, I use friends lightly, because she's like, I'm not keen on that. So her and I were having that discussion, and I had just met these girls, so I was like, I don't know, like we'll see. So I was still very weary, but still very chatty Cathy. But again, I can't be tamed. Because those were 2 of the napkins I brought to the picnic, and I was like, I can't be tamed. So to me, I don't need to, especially with a huge group of people on Zoom doing Bible study and answering to one person like you're a teacher, and being, I was like, that's indoctrinating into something more. So yeah. And then she was trying to get my address, because she was like, oh, I can you send me your address, I want to send you something. And I thought maybe it could have been a thank you card. Some people still do that. I still do that. But I'm not keen on giving out my address to people, not even my family. So I'm like, why would I give it to you? And I've just known you for a month. So I didn't send her my address, but they have my phone number and my email address. And they were still trying today, and like trying yesterday. They were texting and calling me a whole bunch of times. Like, Janice called me like 3-4 times, and then she sent like Rebecca to call me, and Rebecca called me one time and like sent a text. And so I just like ghosted them, and you know, they're like, oh, you want to know if you're okay? But yeah, on TikTok, I seen the other 2 videos, and one lady who was hiding her identity, and she was really in it, and was like a worker, and she was saying they're meant to like keep pressing you in and reaching out to you to try and get you to join is insane. The other girl's like, I can't even eat after work, and like, you know, they don't want you to take a sip of water. Maybe why the girls was gonna be weird, because like I was the only one eating on like our last thing, where I was like, I'm getting me a little snack, because then how are you in people's businesses and not buying anything, taking up seats for 2 hours? Like, I think when people like do those certain videos where they're like, oh, it's free, it's like, no, it's still a business. So it's like, you want to sit here and use this for Bible study, but you're not like paying for anything. So I bought stuff, you know. But yeah, they like to sit there for 2 hours.